The 10% battery. The commute felt longer and dirtier than it had that morning. Every muscle ached, my hair felt gritty. The only thing pushing me forward was the small internal reservoir I had consciously preserved, my 10% battery reserve. For Lily. And for Leo. As I fumbled the key, I heard it, a wall of sound, loud, pulsing, not lullabies. I could hear the rhythmic thump of little feet hitting the floor. I pushed the door open and stepped directly into a joyous, chaotic stage. 8-year-old Lily was spinning haphazardly. 4-year-old Leo was engaging in a series of jumps that seemed to defy gravity and safety. And there, in the center of the sofa, was Hazel, the nanny. She looked perfectly content. Great. Even the nanny is thriving. It felt like a cosmic joke. Everyone, Olivia, Georgie, the nanny, everyone was winning at the working world except me. Mommy's home! I knelt down immediately, pouring every drop of that precious 10% battery into the hug. I breathed in the scent of their energy. It was sweeter than the stale dust of the office. This was my reprieve, my real work. They were wonderful, Mary Jane. Kitchen is spotless. See you tomorrow. As she walked out, the silence of the apartment felt crushing. But it didn't last long. Lily was already tugging on my hand. Mommy, we need to talk about the zoo. The zoo? Lily pulled out her spiral-bound project journal. It was already divided into sections. The felines, the primates, optimal picnic spot. God, if we were on a TV show, Lily would be Ginny. And I'd have to be Georgia, wouldn't I? The comparison made me cringe. Georgia? Seriously? What is it with the name George? King George in my head, Georgie at work, and now I'm wishing I was Georgia from a Netflix show. It was fate mocking me. I was surrounded by versions of the one name I despised. Or maybe I was going crazy, since most of my time was spent building elaborate fantasies, just to cope with a reality I couldn't afford to escape. Maybe my mind was just trying to protect itself. Maybe the George obsession didn't start with the king or the logistics snake. Maybe it started 25 years ago, in the sandbox of Sunnyside pre-primary. I was 5. I had pigtails that were never quite even and a lunchbox with a glittery unicorn on it. And then, there was George. George Miller. He was the pinnacle of kindergarten masculinity. He could jump off the swing at its highest point, and he didn't even cry when he scraped his knee. I was head over heels. In my 5-year-old mind, we were basically engaged. George, I made you a friendship bracelet. It's pink and yellow, like a sunset. I had spent 3 days meticulously threading those plastic beads. It was a masterpiece of structural engineering. I handed it to him during snack time, my heart pounding against my ribs. George looked at the bracelet. He looked at me. And then, the betrayal happened. I don't like pink. It's for babies. I'm trading this to Sarah for her dinosaur sticker. He didn't just reject me. He liquidated my assets. He traded my soul for a holographic stegosaurus. I watched Sarah wear my sunset on her wrist while she ate her apple slices. That was the day I learned that Georges are fundamentally unreliable. They take your glitter, they promise you the sandbox, and then they leave you for the first girl with a Jurassic-era adhesive. So yeah, maybe that's why every time I hear that name, I feel like a 5-year-old again, staring at an empty hand and a glittery unicorn lunchbox. Because whether it's a sandbox or a boardroom, a George is always going to choose the dinosaur sticker. I looked down at Lily's journal. It was terrifyingly efficient. Tables, charts, color-coded tabs. She hadn't just planned a school trip. She had designed a military operation. If I had half of Lily's focus, I'd be running that logistics firm instead of drowning in it. Mommy, are you listening? Mrs. Davidson says the bus leaves at 8 a.m. sharp on Friday. If you're late, I'll have to join the unpartnered group. And they don't get to see the primates, Mom. Friday. Next Friday. The day after the Q3 audit. I felt those dry branches in my chest give a sharp, painful crack. I had 0 leave days. I had a department manager who thought a day off was a sign of moral failing. And I had a bank balance that viewed a missed day of work as a personal threat. 8 a.m.? Primates? You got it, Lilybug. I'll make it happen. I was lying. I was Ginny and Georgia-ing my way through a conversation I couldn't afford to have. I was promising the moon while I was still trying to find the plastic arm for a T-Rex. You're doing the face, Mommy. The one where you say yes, but your eyebrows stay worried. Just tired, baby. Just tired. I ushered them toward the bathroom, my mind already spinning. I needed a strategy. I needed a Georgie-proof excuse. Or maybe I needed to stop being a machine and start being a queen again. Because a queen doesn't ask for permission. She makes a decree. I just had to figure out how to decree my way out of a 9-to-5 without getting fired. The next morning started as per usual. The frantic hunt for matching socks, the lukewarm coffee, the desperate sprint to the bus stop as the gray Durban sky threatened rain. But as I sat on that vibrating plastic seat, clutching my bag like a shield, something was different. The normal person mask was gone. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. Today, I wasn't a logistics clerk. I wasn't a data admin trying to blend into the beige walls. Today, I was a queen. I stepped off the bus and onto the pavement with a deliberate weight. Every click of my heels against the concrete felt like a decree. I wasn't just walking to an office. I was marching toward a negotiation for my daughter's world. Lily needed the zoo. She needed the primates. She needed her mother to be the anchor she promised she was. And if the price of that was a confrontation with the kingdom of logistics, then so be it. I walked through the lobby, my chin tilted just a fraction higher. I felt the dry branches in my chest, but they weren't clicking in fear anymore. They were crackling like a fire. "Good morning, Mary Jane," the security guard chirped. I didn't give him the tired half smile I usually did. I gave him a nod of royal acknowledgement. I had 45 minutes before the morning briefing. 45 minutes to find Mr. Davison, look him in the eye, and inform him, not ask, but inform him, that Friday was no longer his. The Q3 audit was a dragon. Georgie was a snake. But I was the one with the crown. I reached the cubicle island. Cledwin was already there, his fingers dancing over the keys. He looked up, his predatory focus breaking for just a second as he saw me. He didn't say anything, but his eyes widened. He saw it. The mask was off. The queen had arrived. The walk from the elevator to Davison's office was only 50 feet, but today it felt like walking through a trench. I could feel the eyes. The Flying Monkey Squad, Davison's hand-picked inner circle of sycophants, were already at their stations. They didn't just work. They monitored the atmospheric pressure of his ego. "Mary Jane, you're looking intense this morning," Olivia called out. She didn't look up from her succulent, but her voice was a calculated needle. "Mr. Davison is very busy preparing for the Q3 audit. He mentioned he didn't want any distractions today." Translation: know your place, stay in your box. I didn't break my stride. I felt the dry branches in my heart flare. I wasn't a box. I was a fortress. Then came Georgie, scurrying across the aisle with a stack of papers like a shield. He accidentally stepped into my path, forcing me to stop. MJ, just a heads up. I saw you looking at Wanderlux yesterday. I'd be careful. Davison's been asking about productivity levels in our row. It would be a shame if your focus was questioned right before your performance review. The threat was wrapped in a smile. That was the toxic rot of this place. They didn't stab you in the back. They patted you on the shoulder until you bled. Move, Georgie. He blinked, the smug grin faltering. He wasn't used to the queen. He was used to the machine. He stepped aside, his eyes darting to Olivia to see if she'd witnessed the rebellion. I reached the heavy oak door. No knocking, no "excuse me." I turned the handle. Mr. Davison was leaning back in his chair, a golf trophy in one hand and a spreadsheet in the other. He didn't look up. He let the silence stretch, a power play he'd been practicing for 20 years. I'm in a meeting with myself, Mary Jane. Close the door on your way out. The branches snapped, not in pain, but in release. The meeting is over, Mr. Davison. I'm here to discuss Friday, specifically why I won't be here. The trophy hit the desk with a heavy thud. He finally looked up. The happy family man mask was gone. Beneath it was the cold, gray metal of a man who owned people for a living. I saw the color drain from Davison's face. He wasn't just annoyed. He was terrified. Friday? Mary Jane, have you lost your mind? The audit is a 2-day gauntlet. Thursday is the data pull, but Friday is the final reconciliation with the board. You aren't asking for a morning off. You're asking to leave the bridge while the ship is in the middle of a hurricane. I knew the math. I knew exactly what I was asking. I was offering up my neck to the corporate guillotine. But then I thought of Lily's color-coded journal. I thought of the optimal picnic spot. I know it's a 2-day audit, Mr. Davison. And I know that without me, Thursday's data will be a mess that no one else in this squad knows how to clean up. I am making you a deal. A massive sacrifice. I will work 18 hours on Wednesday. I will prepare Thursday's pull so perfectly that a child could present it. I will give you a flawless first day. But when the clock strikes 5 on Thursday afternoon, I am done. I am trading my Friday presence for a Thursday performance that will make you look like a genius in front of the board. But the board, they'll ask where you are. Mither them the truth. Tell them your lead admin is so efficient she finished 48 hours of work in 24. Or tell them I'm sick. I don't care what lie you use to protect your mask, sir. But I will be at that zoo. You have a choice. You can have me at 200% capacity for the first half, or you can fire me now and try to explain to the auditors why the Q3 numbers don't exist at all. Which isn't. I watched him. The powerful manager was shrinking. He was realizing that he didn't own me. He only rented my time, and the lease was up. I didn't blink. I didn't move. I stood there, the queen of a very small jungle, waiting for the man in the expensive suit to decide if he wanted to be a leader or a ghost. He looked at the golf trophy. He looked at the mountain of Q3 files. Then he looked at me. For the first time in 5 years, he wasn't looking at an employee. He was looking up at a threat. His hand reached for the telephone on his desk. His fingers trembled, just a fraction. If you walk out of here on Thursday afternoon, Mary Jane, if those auditors find so much as a decimal point out of place while you're looking at giraffes. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The air in the room turned to ice. He picked up the receiver and began to dial a number. Was he calling HR to draft my termination? Or was he calling the board to start the lies that would cover my tracks? I turned my back on him before he could speak. I walked toward the heavy oak door, my heel striking the floor like a death toll. I reached the handle, my hand hovering over the cold metal. I had made my decree. But as I looked out through the glass at the flying monkey squad, at Georgie's narrowing eyes and Olivia's smug smile, I realized I hadn't just won a day off. I had started a war. And Thursday was only 48 hours away.